Morning. One of the big news stories here from Southern Oregon over the last day, besides a bank robbery, I guess we had a bank robbery in Josephine County, and they arrested three people. It was on the 25th bank robbery at the Washington Federal Bank in Cave Junction. And so they went in there. But anyway, three people arrested for this one: William Glenn, Patrick Kurt, Carol Evans West. And they ended up getting picked up. Responding unit located the vehicle on Redwood Highway traveling towards Selma. So they did not make it. They did not make it far. Oh, sad part is that most of the banks these days, I shouldn't say sad part, but, if you were going to rob banks, probably not as much cash in most banks today than we once thought. Gosh, someone was telling me the other day that they went into their bank, tried to cash $1,000 check, and they were told that, well, you'd have to make an appointment, to come back and get $1,000 check. I guess this is conditioning us for the Joe Biden central bank digital currency. I guess I know it's not Conspiracy Theory Thursday, but hey, that's openly being talked about. We know that. All right. But the other big story, though, going on locally is Rogue Valley graduation rates are up for the most part, mostly up. So we have more of the kids graduating from school. Nick Morgan has a good article in the Daily Courier about it. And Grants Pass High School graduation rate jumped. Phoenix High School maintained its lead among high schools in the Rogue Valley. And he writes that high schools in Josephine and Jackson counties largely fell in line with upward trends across the state, showing improvements of the graduation rate for the 2021-2022 school year. And the statewide four-year high school graduation rose slightly from 80% to about 81% last year. This according to the Oregon Department of Education. The graduation rate of Grants Pass showed the largest improvement among trad high schools, traditional high schools, at 85%. That's nearly 8% higher from the year before. And improvement dramatic, they say, according to the 71% graduation rate the school had 5 years prior in 2017. So they're working more on GED and various other things. And all the school districts are basically talking about how things are looking better, and that it would appear that according to the stats, things are better. Even at Central Medford, the alternative high school, they're at 76%, a little bit below the statewide average. See, who has the highest? Yeah, Phoenix has the highest of all the schools, 95% graduation rate. All of them. Logos, 93%, just behind Phoenix, really. And, I guess that's pretty good. I guess my question is, and this is the part that I can't really get a straight answer on for the most part. And what is the actual accomplishment or it's one thing to say, okay, we graduated, we give you a diploma. I'm wondering, what are the capabilities of the kids that graduate? What do they actually know? And this is something which has concerned me for quite some time. And a listener who calls himself, he has a little nom de plume of Harry Reid, which cracks me up. I've never met Harry, but Harry writes all the time. And he says, and he was kind of voicing my concerns. And I'm wondering if you have these kind of concerns too. And Dingy Harry reads his email address. He says, hello, oh my, Medford graduation rates are up, but not so fast. Kids no longer have to prove math proficiency. And when I was in high school, we took Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and I even took pre-calculus before going on to get a BS degree in accounting in college. My friend owns an import-export company, and he says the kids that graduate that apply for jobs are not very capable of doing fourth grade long division. And he requires a Wonderlic test. I guess this must be like some kind of proficiency test, Harry. But the EEOC has visited him twice with concerns that he's discriminating, and his lawyer has kept him free of lawsuits so far. And Harry says, Medford says its participation trophy rates are up. Harry, I hope you're wrong about that, but I'm not so sure you are. And I wish that, and it's not that I want to just automatically throw all the schools under the bus, but I don't know. Did all of a sudden the schools decide to stop going woke and stop, promoting, your pronouns, and you're really kind of confused about your gender, aren't you? And then all of a sudden got really hot and heavy into the actual intellectual and educational accomplishments. So over the last 2 years, and all of a sudden, boom, the reports go up. Maybe, I suppose it's possible. But I continue to have, parents that get in touch with me. Like even the parents that contacted me that talked about taking their son out of Hedrick Middle School because the school district wouldn't do anything about the violence when their kid got, punched out by this, just attacked in the school hallway. And so I'm thinking, if you're not even willing to kick out the dirtbag kids or the violent kids or the mentally ill kids or something like that. Well, maybe nobody wants to do that because you don't want your graduation rates to look bad, right? That could have something to do with it. There are great incentives, I guess, to maybe push the kids out the door. And maybe there are some really great accomplished people coming out of there. Maybe, the majority of kids are coming out. I can't speak for it, though. I can't speak to it. The one thing I do know, though, is that there have been some times, even within my situation here as program director, occasionally we'd hire young people to do certain jobs, and it just astounds me, and what Harry's talking about, lack of math skills, things like that. And I guess, as long as you can do the fast food meal and you can just look at the picture of the hamburger on the button or on the touchscreen, that's all that matters, I guess. I hope that's not the case, but graduation rates don't impress me. In fact, I'd almost be more impressed if the graduation rates would go down because they were being tough and really doing some hard testing, and that if you don't have proficiency, we're not going to give you a diploma. If you can't do fourth grade long division, which is what, Ninja Harry Reid was talking about, some employers complaining that they weren't even able to get high school graduates to do that. If you can't do long division, should you really have a high school diploma? And I'm not saying it was all that better even when I was a kid in the schools, 40 years ago. I imagine there was social promotion going on back then. Maybe it was just hidden a little bit better, and maybe it's always been this way. But the one thing I know that we weren't dealing with back then was all the woke Bullstein progressive policies and getting everybody all hopped up on everything is racist and the country is a horrible place and the founding fathers were racist and the only thing that matters is the color of your skin. Didn't have any of that. Didn't have any of that going on then. And so I remember actually concentrating on classes, and we had math and calculus. And by the way, I didn't do very well in calculus because I discovered girls, I should say, in my latter high school. And I worked too much and I had too many girlfriends at the time or paid too much attention to it at that point. So I didn't do too well at calculus. But at least I did it, right? At least I did it. I did pass it. I didn't flunk it, but no, I didn't do great on that. I'm just wondering if we get too excited and then parents go back to sleep. Oh, the graduation rates are up and everything's okay. Okay, well, what are the kids learning? We've known over the last 2 or 3 years during COVID, the parents were just going insane, finding out, oh, this is the crap you're actually teaching them? So what's the point of a high graduation rate if it's not really good and stern curriculum, something which is going to help you in the future? I could be wrong about that, and I hope I am, especially given the $10,000, $12,000 a year that goes into every kid with a pulse in the government school system. It's 23 after 6, 770-5633. What's on your mind this morning? This is the Bill Meyer Show on KMED, KCMD.
May old car problems be forgot in a brand new SUV.
Stop. You You can't start the new year in an old car. Get to Hyundai Medford today, because if you have a job clearing $350 per week at Hyundai Medford, you're virtually approved today. And no additional dealer markup on any new Hyundai Elantra, Sonata, or Tucson Limited. All with zero down and zero payments till March. And the Hyundai Assurance and America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. So bring any trade, no matter if it's partied out or running a little sluggish. Even if you're stuck in a loan or lease, Hyundai Medford wants to get you released. With your job clearing $350 per week, you're practically approved.
This is Mitch Parker. If you're not 100% satisfied, come see me before you leave.
Or online at HyundaiMedford.com. Unapproved credit plus tax, title, license, and 150 title and registration processing. Not all will qualify. OCCU credit union, negative equity refinanced and new loan. Rebates and incentives to dealer. MSRP on in-stock model internal gas engine. Offers not in combination. Expires 1/31/23.
We've heard it all.
That power pole wasn't there yesterday.
White cars blend perfectly with the snow.
It was either the cat or the mailbox.
It's the first time I've been in a roundy round.
But the reason you need auto body repair doesn't matter to us as much as making your car look new again, and the process easy for you. At Lithia Body and Paint, we've been getting Southern Oregon drivers back on the road since 1946. Service, speed, accuracy. That's Lithia Body and Paint on Bullock Road in Medford.
What's happening?
GDP beat estimates.
On KMED and KCMD.
Steady recovery. There will not be any negotiations over the debt ceiling.
I have news for him.
Check in at the top of the hour.
He absolutely will negotiate.
And get the very latest.
These guys are fiscally demented, I think.
Classified documents.
You don't have an ability to remove those documents.
The day's news.
I think they ought to treat everybody the same.
Is on.
Big things could be happening.
KMED and KCMD. You're waking up with the Bill Meyer Show on 99.3 KCMD and FM 106.7 KMED.
School districts pretty much crowing because the graduation rates have gone up, and they would appear to go up pretty well. Other people write me and say, yeah, but they're not testing for math proficiency any longer. And, of course, math proficiency is going to be a big thing, supposedly, in the high-tech world, the high-tech future, you know, when you're looking for the engineers and the various people who will actually build things in the future and make stuff work. And I just don't know if I trust higher graduation rates. I would almost prefer lower graduation rates and harder testing. But maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. Jeff, good to have you on. You had a thought on the grad rates too. What are you thinking?
Well, I didn't know if it was with you on the show or what. I listened to some talk radio, but Oregon's at like the all-time low for people returning back to school from COVID. And I was thinking that a lot of the kids that weren't doing well in school, not liking school, and probably dropped out, didn't return, which is going to increase the graduation rate. You know, that's an interesting point that you made, and you're right, because I remember the Grants Pass District was mentioning a few months ago that they were missing about 10% of the kids that they once had. That's what I recall. I'm just doing this from memory right now, Jeff. But that's interesting. Yeah, 10% of the kids were gone. Maybe some have trickled back. The story is that most of those people were actually pulled out and put into parochial school or private school or homeschooling is what we were being told by a lot of parents. Yeah, maybe GEDs, or they just stop and go to IT schools. Because I've had some parents go, my kid never liked school anyway, so they're just going to go to a technical school to get a job. Mm-hmm. And then I think another thing that helps kids is the fact that I'm sure it was the same way with you. When I was a kid, if you didn't turn your homework in on the day it was assigned, you never got credit for it. You couldn't turn it in a month later and get credit.
That's right.
You couldn't take a test 2 or 3 times to get better grades. So all these kids have incentives to get better grades, which just, gives them crutches to do better. So maybe they stay in that way because they're not failing classes, which they should be.
Oh, okay. So if it was being done under the same criteria of earlier generations, they wouldn't be passing. Right. It's because, in other words, the standards or the situation has been softened. Right.
Another participation trophy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My son just got an A in a class, and he said he never passed the test. He turned in all his homework, did all his stuff, but he never passed the test until he took it 2 or 3 times. Well, that would never equate to an A back when I was a kid, ever.
Okay. Now I want to hear this clearly. I want to make sure I heard you correctly because it makes my jaw drop a little bit. Do you want to say which school district, or does it matter?
It's Grants Pass.
Okay, so it's Grants Pass. All right. So you have a son in there, got an A in a class, but he was allowed to take a test 3 times.
2, 3 times, yeah.
I guess you take the test enough times until you get the right number, huh?
Well, you get back your test, you know what you got wrong, and then you could study on it, which, you're still learning, but the fact that you didn't know it going into the test is the way it was done when I was a kid. I was never ever allowed to retake a test.
Yeah, no, I never recall retaking a test ever. I mean, it was just kind of like, all right, Billy, you were a dumbbell on this one. Try again. We're going to keep going on, okay?
Yeah, the only way you got to not retake, but take a test after the day was signed is if there's a medical emergency or there was an actual legitimate reason to not take one, but I was never given a chance to retake a test.
Yeah. So, Jeff, I'm hearing from you that you're suspicious of the amazingly high graduation stats being quoted then, right?
Yeah, I like everything else with the government, because everybody in the government does this, I don't trust the way they do stuff. Because you can skew anything to the way you want if you omit things or don't admit the way you're doing things.
And arguably, the reading achievement seems to be pretty good, that the government schools have been doing better on getting reading and writing achievement. That's good. Nothing wrong with that. But math and science has been the tough one for a long time. Really bad.
Kate Brown suspend reading, writing, and math tests for everybody in Oregon?
I think what it was to suspend the mathematics requirement test for graduation. So they, I think that was it. And I'm wondering if that had a lot to do with the mathematics or with the graduation rates going up, that you didn't have to prove your proficiency on math.
Yep.
Interesting. Hey, Jeff, thanks for sharing your story. I appreciate that. I think that parents need to ask a few more questions about that, really. Hi, KMED, KCMD, good morning. This is the Bill Meyer Show. Who's this?
Hey, Bill, it's Lucretia.
Hi, Lucretia. What's going on with you?
I think about how they're dumbing us down and telling us to get off the saturated fat that helps the brain and get enough protein and all, and trying to turn us into a vegetarian society, which destroys the land because you need the poop and the pee and all to rebuild the soil, which we've got really bad soil now. But I was listening to Anthony Shafee, the doctor that says we has eaten just meat for the last 24 years because plants want to kill us. They have up to 10,000 times more toxic chemicals in them.
Okay, now it sounds like you're listening to some very interesting alternative people. So we shouldn't be eating plants because the plants are trying to kill us with evolving, so we won't eat them?
Plants have, like Brussels sprouts, have 136 different carcinogens in them. The least of them have 60.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, there are always natural pesticides and things within a lot of vegetables. That's just part of the, because they try not to be eaten too. But does that mean that it's killing us, though? Seriously.
Well, Dr. Anthony Shafee said there'd be no autoimmune diseases. Dr. Grundy said there'd be no autoimmune if we got off the lectins and the gluten. None. All the autoimmune go away when you get off those. But anyway, I learned...
Well, I don't make enough money to have an autoimmune disease. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. I learned from Anthony Shafee. Remember the Framingham study that they showed the correlation with heart disease and cholesterol?
There really hasn't ever been any correlation between cholesterol and heart disease.
Exactly. It was a total lie. It's like saying that because kids eat ice cream in the summer, there's more shark attacks. No, it's just more kids are in the water.
Hey, listen, we'd like going into the donut shop, going into Puck's Donut Shop and saying, okay, here's a fat guy in stretch pants and he doesn't have cancer. So I guess stretch pants and donuts don't, or they prevent cancer, right? Same kind of logic.
Exactly. So they've been dumbing us down, just getting us off the healthy foods for a healthy brain and to be smarter. And they've created such a dumb society. We just believe everything, and it's sad because we should believe nothing they tell us. Everything is opposite, almost.
Yeah, well, I know that. This is why even when the government school graduation statistics come out there, I'm automatically primed, given that there's such emphasis in the bureaucracies to always protect the bureaucracy, right? You always have to protect the bureaucracy and the system first here. And so I always question, it's like, all right, higher graduation rate, Are we actually having smarter children, or people that were able to pass with reduced standards and taking the test multiple times and things, and of course eating plants that are trying to kill them? Thanks for the call, Lucretia. It's always entertaining. All right, appreciate that. I love Brussels sprouts. I will continue to eat Brussels sprouts, even if it does have 100 carcinogens in it. Butter, lots of butter. Rick Manning joins me he's the president of Americans for Limited Government, dailytorch.com, getliberty.org. He's standing by on Skype. We're going to talk with him in just a minute. The Daily Torch and the D.C. Swamp Update, so much of that coming up.
Your home is more than just a place you live. Your home is the expression of who you are. Designing a custom home is an exciting experience. The team of professionals at Van Way Homes work directly with you to assure your new home does indeed become your dream home. Van Way Homes are the premier custom home builders in Southern Oregon. They design and build custom you can count on, quality you can see. Contact Van Way Homes on their website or call 541-601-8036.
At Batteries Plus, we do more than fix phones and tablets. We help our neighbors power their lives. Visit Batteries Plus for free auto battery testing and free installation, too, on most vehicles at most locations. See batteriesplus.com for details.
News sponsored by Caveman Heating and Air. It's the climate, and we control it. Call Caveman Heating and Air at 541-476-0009 or cavemanheating.com.
Good morning. I'm Marcus Veal with MC5 Morning News Update. Following up on a story from yesterday, police are following a number of leads to find 36-year-old Wolf Creek man Benjamin Obadiah Foster. He's wanted on charges of kidnapping, assault, and attempted murder. Police say Tuesday night a woman was found tied up and beaten at home in the 2100 block of Shane Way near Redwood Highway. The victim was taken to a hospital where she's stable but still in critical condition. Foster should be considered extremely dangerous and could be armed. Call police if you see him. We broke the story yesterday morning about the graduation rates for local schools in 2022. Now we have grad rates at county levels as well. Josephine County had a 77.7% graduate rate, Jackson County 84.5%, Klamath County at 78%, and Douglas County had a rate of 74%. And we finally know the second headliner for the Rogue Music Festival. 8-time Grammy Award winner Carrie Underwood. Eric Church will start things off June 16th, and Underwood will headline and close out the inaugural festival Saturday, June 17th. A total of 7 other artists will perform at the concert over Father's Day weekend, and those names will be announced at a later date. You can get tickets right now at Sherm's Food for Less, the Expo box office, and online at roguemusicfest.com. That's a look at your morning headlines from C5 News. I'm Marcus Veal. Have a great day and weekend.
Disasters happen, and Oregon faces a range of disaster threats, including earthquakes, floods, and storms. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Step 1. Contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of coverage. Step 2. Create a home inventory by taking photos or videos of your possessions in each room of your home. Step 3. Gather and make copies of important identifying and financial documents. Store them in the cloud or another secure location. These 3 actions can help you and your community be more resilient in the face of disaster. Be disaster ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how. This message brought to you by the Oregon Division of Financial Regulation, the Oregon Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Inflationary times. I know the government is saying that the inflation is transitory and it's slamming down fast. But if you received an insurance renewal, especially a fire insurance renewal, you know that's not the case at all. You need to talk to my friend Steve Yancey at Sky Park Insurance. His number is 541-261-5444. The beauty of Steve, and it's been a beautiful relationship Steve and I've had for a number of years, is that he is an independent, which means he works with lots of different companies, not just one. And what he does is put him to work. You have different companies competing against you. It's just straight all economics. If there was only one insurance company, chances are they'd be screwing you. You have a lot of different companies that are saying, oh, okay, I can cut you a better deal than this one. All right, he works for you. You got to call him, though, and put him to work to find out first. Just call him up. It's easy. 261-5444. 261-5444. And it's everything from a home to auto to life to property, property transfer, insurance. If it's insurance, he's got it for you, all right? 261-5444 or skyparkins.com.
At Skypark, we make insurance easy.
99.3 KCMD, FM 106.7 KMED. And this is the Bill Meyer Show.
Wait a minute. We can't have Rick come on until his team's here, all right?
This is the craziest party that could ever be. Don't turn on the lights, because I don't want to see. Mama told me not to come.
The D.C. Swamp Update theme. Every Friday we get a chance to talk with Rick Manning, president of Americans for Limited Government, dailytorch.com, getliberty.org. Rick, welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing great, too. Wonderful to have you on. Hey, just kind of curious, in your area, what state do you live in again? You live in Virginia or do you live in Maryland? I'm just kind of wondering how it works.
My office is in Virginia. I live in Maryland.
Okay, all right. I thought you lived in Maryland. Do you have the standard crowing kind of government school stats that tend to come out once a year? Said, hey, our graduation rates are soaring. Do you have that, or are things pretty much kind of steady as it goes? Because Oregon has very poorly rated public schools. It has for a long time. I think we're like number 46 or 47 in the nation.
My county used to have the top-rated school district when I moved here, and no reflection on me, I hope, but it isn't the top-rated school district anymore. And I've got a couple of teachers who live in my neighborhood who I know pretty well, and they are both union kind of activists, and they blame taxpayers for not raising teachers' salaries enough. So, no, our school district has become less, and they don't talk about it much, particularly the local elementary school, which used to be the best in the county and is now somewhere towards the middle.
Okay, all right, just curious, because what I get...
But no, they don't do the crowing thing where we're the number 47th out of 48 counties. Yay!
I imagine that's not. And you don't want to be... unfortunately, though, my cynicism gets richly rewarded a lot of times, but you don't automatically want to throw people under the bus, because I know that there are a lot of good people trying to make a tough go in a situation in a lot of the public school systems. And they have to take everybody in, some good students, a lot of bad students, those sort of things. And you have a lot of family problems in many of them. But what has happened in Oregon is that the governor, the outgoing governor, the former governor, Governor Brown, did not require you to test for proficiency, for mathematics proficiency, in order to get your diploma. And generally speaking, whatever you don't test for, you're not really caring all that much about, then all of a sudden everyone's talking about how much higher their graduation rates went. Yeah, it's because they probably don't know math, or they couldn't, prove that they had the math skills. I guess that's what it is,
It's pretty pathetic, isn't it? It's all a manipulation. I'm going to go to something that was a real tragic, but if you remember during the Obama administration, they said we want to make certain. They really told schools not to report violent students, particularly if they were ethnic, because they wanted to keep their in-school rates as high as possible and all that stuff. And that's how we got the kid who ended up killing all those children at the high school in Florida. Should have been kicked out like 10 events ago, and yet because the Obama kind of edict, the school district and school just said no. We're not going to actually take any action because it'll ruin our number.
And I think we're dealing with that still today in various permutations of it. We had a parent that ended up reporting to me anonymously because they didn't want their kid attacked there. But a child had been attacked in a local middle school here in Southern Oregon, which there's just a violent kid that's in there, just went out there and just, right on security camera video a few months ago, punched the kid out, just went up and just randomly attacked him for whatever reason, and nothing was done to the kid. And the parents just said, okay, we're going to pull him out. and everyone is kind of under the belief that, yeah, this is about making sure that our violence numbers don't look too bad, and that we're not kicking kids out of school, and who knows, maybe there was a racial issue involved in there too, because if you kick the wrong color out, even if the wrong color is violent, bad things happen, I guess, to school districts these days.
I mean, that's the ultimate thing about the ultimate racism, to say,
Yeah.
we're going to subject all the children to a violent individual because they happen to be one color or the other. And if that color were white, it would be racism. But if that color is Asian, is yellow or black or brown, that's equally racism. And it's interestingly, and this is far afield from local school, but the racism inherent in upper college admissions is on trial at the Supreme Court right now. And ironically, the people who are contesting it are Asians, because a lot of schools are saying, we're not going to allow us, we're only going to allow so many Asians in because we've got to have diversity. And
even though the Asians are outperforming practically every other demographic group there,
that's the point.
right?
They're doing too well, and so so they get punished. And the question before the Supreme Court is, can you be punished and not be just excluded from a school that you qualify for based upon your race?
Is it essentially meritocracy on trial at the Supreme Court?
It is 100%. And the thinking is that a lot of these schools, there's strong suspicion they're going to lose, the Supreme Court's going to rule, no, you can't actually discriminate based on race. Imagine the concept. And the schools will just find another way to, they'll add, they'll add other criteria in to try to level the playing field.
Yeah, I had read similar responses from other analysts saying the same thing here, Rick. They're saying, it's okay. They're going to keep doing the wokey brokey stuff. And it'll probably be one of those things where, we're looking for well-rounded students. And so we're looking for students that they have musical talent, let's say, and are in the theater and they, et cetera, et cetera. And those Asian kids, they just study too much. They're not very well-rounded. We don't have room for them here.
Well, yeah, the irony, of course, is there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting a liberal arts education and becoming a music major. And I know at USC, one of my roommates was recruited from Boston to come to USC because he was one of the premier 17-year-old xylophone players, or whatever, the vibraphone or whatever the heck he was playing. And it was a good year because we got good music, but from a practical perspective, that's a legitimate thing. It's attracting, if somebody's really good at math, they're a genius in math, saying I want to have that person here. But the fact of the matter is, having a school sit there and say, you are overqualified for the school because we have too many people who look like you, is inherently wrong. Even Chief Justice John Roberts, in questioning the University of North Carolina attorney on it, asked a simple question. He says, didn't we fight a war 150 years ago to settle this question? And the University of North Carolina professor or lawyer really had no answer to that. So the way the court is leaning is clear, but the question is, how tight will they draw it, or will they basically allow a lot of loopholes? Point being, in the lower level, in the elementary school, junior high school levels, one of the reasons parents are leaving schools, and you talked about the one parent is taking their kid out of school. Well, a lot of the reasons the public schools, one thing the teachers union said it's true about, when if you have the option of going to a public school or something else and your money moves with you, that people will choose the non-public school because the public schools aren't competing, and then the public school, their quality of student goes down. But that's too bad. Do school better. You get paid a lot of money. Figure it out.
Yeah, because if you were actually doing your job, if the system was actually doing its job, you'd be clamoring to get into a good public school then, if that were the case.
The bottom line is, if the public school system works, there is little demand for being in a private school system or for homeschooling. The demand for private school systems and homeschooling are based on two things: private school system is sometimes it's religion. You want your kid to get a religious education. You're not going to get that in public schools, perfectly legitimate. The other one is rejection of the public school system as being a safe place where your kid's going to get a quality education, have the maximum opportunity to make the most of themselves throughout their lives. And the teachers' unions alike would rather sacrifice the children on the altar of their woke agenda. And quite honestly, I'm glad Americans are standing up and saying no.
Yeah, I am too. And it's like, and I don't want to be one of those guys that's always talking about, get off my lawn, you kids, you know what it was like, but I can talk about my experience. If someone had talked about having a drag queen story hour, he would have been taken out front and just had the crap kicked out of him. And now we're just supposed to sit around and celebrate it. That kind of thing. Or your gender, or you're supposed to be confused about your gender. We're actually going to encourage this. That kind of thing.
That's why they had to get dads out of the household, because it's the dad who would have went down there and beat the tar out of somebody. And so now that they've kind of tried to eliminate dads out of the households, they don't have that same people don't have that same protection. It is obscene. It's absurd. The public libraries being taken over by librarians who believe it is discriminatory to not have drag queens hour or whatever it is. But that's censorship to not have that.
And I'm sorry, and to me, it's just the embracing of perverts and degenerates. And by the way, I'm gonna stop talking about people that, well, it's just a different way of looking at life. No, you're a pervert. Okay, all right, you're a pervert. You're a degenerate.
It is not a different way.
It
is one of the things is normalizing. What they're doing is they're normalizing the abnormal, and they are making the normal abnormal.
Is the pushback coming, though, against the pervert and the attempt at normalizing the abnormal? Do you think that's finally starting to really kick in? The great swath of people that are saying, I don't want my kid going with a pervert, reading stories to them at the library or going to school with them, and they were telling them that you need to, question your gender and move along. What do you think?
It's kicking in with the parents who are finally finding out what's going on. But the fact is, it's very effective with the students. I used to I was head of a youth group involved in youth group anyway, in a church for like 17 years or so. And these were the kids who parents were sending them to youth group, church youth group. And they were there was absolutely embedded into them that everything like that was perfectly okay. There was no, how dare anybody question it. And this was in a conservative school district where all 5 of our county commissioners were Republican. And we had and quite honestly, the generation had been already, before parents figured it out, they'd already been wiped out in terms of having any moral compass in that regard. So it's a challenging situation because many of those kids are now parents. And, so are they going to stand up? I don't think so.
It is a really good question. Hey, what is top of the fold over in the swamp at this point, since we usually, talk a lot of D.C. swampy sort of stuff there? What is
Sure.
What is really top of your fold right now?
It's kind of a combo thing, but I've just come to the conclusion that we need to get rid of special counsels altogether.
Oh, yeah?
And the reason is very simple. First of all, they are extra legal. The U.S. Congress eliminated special prosecutors. And so the Department of Justice came up with a regulatory way of doing the same thing by calling them special counsels under their existing authority. But there's no rule that this should exist. There's no law that underpins it per se. The reason we need to get rid of them is very simple. All 4 of the past presidents have had special counsels, and special counsels arise out of Department of Justice actions that are in fact designed to investigate a president on stuff that the Department of Justice has found or cooked up. And it is dangerous as it's an affront to representative government. It's an affront to the idea that you elect your president and your members of Congress when just.
But your unelected DOJ goon can go after you, right?
Right. The DOJ basically takes down anybody they want. And we saw that with Trump.
Mm-hmm.
We may be seeing it with Biden right now to some extent, although he's got other problems. You see, we still have Durham hanging around. We got 3 special counsels right now. We got one on Trump, one on Biden, one on the DOJ. The only one that's legitimate is the one who's trying to look at what DOJ was doing and violating the rules. And he seems more interested in prosecuting Russians. So we have a very, very, it's a broken system. It gives incredible power to the Department of Justice, and not the Attorney General necessarily, but the underlings. You don't know who they are at the Department of Justice.
The lifers, the ones that laugh at politicians coming and going. It's like, you can't do a thing to me. You can't lay a glove, right?
The permanent class. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is, the Department of Justice, the special counsel on Biden, for instance, has absolutely no power to prosecute Biden because he's president. And the Supreme Court said you can't prosecute the president. So there is a means of actually constitutionally of dealing with this, and that is Congress. Congress are the only people who can hold the president accountable for malfeasance.
It's called impeachment, right?
It's called impeachment. And the Democrats in the House abused that system pretty badly. But the fact of the matter is that is a reality. You have the capacity to impeach a president. You have a capacity to convict a president. And in terms of the classified documents that Joe Biden left laying around, which Hunter Biden may have used to garner business from out of the Ukraine and elsewhere, in terms of that, there's nothing a special counsel can do about it.
So is there a appetite within the new Republican majority, albeit slim, to actually impeach the president?
Probably not, because here's where I think Biden doesn't avoid impeachment. If it turns out that one of the memos that there's a story that's been run in the New York Post the last couple of days, where one of the memos that was on the Hunter Biden laptop is very distinct. It's the only one like it. It's 1,300 words. It's got it's a bunch of bullet points, and it reads like a national security briefing. Okay, mm-hmm. and it was written about 2 weeks, and it has a lot of stuff on Ukraine in it. It was written about 2 weeks before Hunter Biden got the $83,000 a month contract from Burisma in Ukraine. And what people like Senator Ron Johnson, who've seen the document, seen that memo, they say, well, it's so unusual for what he's written anywhere else in the 9 years in that computer. It's so unusual that it really looks like an intelligence briefing. And so the guy who's the special counsel needs to match the classified documents found in Biden's home with that memo. And if you see a cross, if you see
a cross, then a real crime's been committed, that Hunter has a classified intelligence briefing in his computer.
And
right?
The special prosecutor or special counsel can prosecute Hunter. Mm-hmm. He can't prosecute Joe Biden, even if, because of other things in the laptop, it's shown that Joe Biden was, in fact, benefiting from these financial relationships.
Yep, the only way you hold a president accountable is to impeach him. That's just it.
Right.
Impeach him or her.
And so
if
that is shown, if that concrete nexus point is shown, I think he gets impeached in the House. I think it's going to be hilarious to see the Democrats try to defend him. And in the Senate, he'll survive the conviction part of the Senate. But the truth of the matter is that doesn't break the Democrats' heart for him to be impeached and have to be exposed in the Senate, because it happens during the time he's trying to run for election, and they don't want him on the ballot.
They don't want him on the ballot either. Yeah, we know that. That's I think the memo certainly came out there. Now, before we take off here, The swampiest situation of all, Rick, has to be our slow or maybe stumbling into a much more hot war with Russia in Ukraine. And it seems to be the bipartisan thing that we're all supposed to be, agreeing with. Now it's Abram tanks and everything else. Why are we really there? You
That's
know?
a great question. Donald Trump got impeached because he tried to find out. So, that's all I know is Donald Trump. I went back because I was trying to figure it out because Trump yesterday on Truth Social came out and said, tanks, then nukes. What are they? What are these guys doing? It's this war. This is easy. End the war. It's easy. It's easy to do. Something like that. Paraphrasing a Trump tweet is hard because it's not usually English, but it's a. But it was pretty direct, and he's exactly right. He's exactly right. We do have boots on the ground. They're lying about that because we're training them how to use the Patriot missile systems, and they're not training them using Patriot missile systems.
Yeah, you're not having them watch a YouTube video on how to run the Patriot missiles, right?
They're advisors, just like in Vietnam. They're advisors on the ground.
We've seen this movie before. We've seen this before. We've seen it before. That's what we're coming down to, right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
We have seen it before, and you asked me the question. I don't know. All I know is Joe Biden he was charged with Ukraine by Obama. He went there at least 6 times as vice president.
How many times did he go there? Your phone cut out.
He went there in the last 10 days of the Obama administration for some unknown reason. We then have the entirety of the impeachment thing about against Trump comes from the Biden people who were running Ukraine policy in 2014, 2013, when the people in Ukraine voted for a Russian-leaning government to be their president, and mysteriously a coup occurred in 2014, and the guy was replaced. Okay, and the memo specifically kind of circles back to Hunter Biden laptop. The memo that Hunter Biden wrote was prescient, and it said, Russia's response to the coup will be that they're going to try to create a land bridge to Crimea through Donetsk, and it will be met by extreme sanctions, economic sanctions by the United States, and kind of laid out the Russian invasion and everything in 2014 on the Hunter Biden laptop in a memo he sent apparently that got to the Burisma people and got him employed. So, 2014, what's happening today was predicted. And then we elected the guy who is the architect of it, and we're not being told the truth. And I don't know I don't know what's really going on. And yet we're gonna end up. This is.
I mean, this feels so directed. This feels so directed and scripted, Rick. It really does.
I often wonder, what are they? There's got to be something there that desperately needs to be covered up or something, because there is absolutely no reason why Ukraine should be the center of the universe, and yet there it is.
Could it be something as simple as economic troubles are coming here, whether they realize it or not? They've been painting a real happy picture there for quite some time, and a splendid little war is a good distractor. I know that's a kind of an old school way of doing it.
I think that's what, yes, I do believe that plays a role in it. But this has been being orchestrated. When you look at a memo from 2014, this has been orchestrated for quite a while. And and if you can see 6-7 years out what's going to happen, you ought to be able to stop it. Okay, that's the ultimate failure. If you know what's going to happen, and it's put you on the precipice of, I don't want to sound like an alarmist, but it puts you on a precipice of we're in worse position now in terms of nuclear war than we have been since Reagan and Gorbachev met in Reykjavik. And and given that, yeah, you should have been able to figure it out and avoid it in 7 years.
Yeah.
What's more, I think if you look at it from a global perspective, with the World Economic Forum wanting China to be the dominant force based on everything they've said, and this is their words, not mine. The single best thing you could have is to have Russia and America and Europe degraded based on being at a war.
Yeah, and exhausted. In other words, exhaust us. We all get exhausted in the whole situation. Yeah.
Well, and also exhaust our capacity to fight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not just our will to fight, but exhaust our munitions that we have to fight.
Yeah, we're sending missiles and other munitions to Ukraine faster than we make them here.
Yes, 100%. Ukraine is firing off missiles faster than we can make them to replace them for Ukraine. We're not replacing them for ourselves. We're replacing them for Ukraine. We are in a situation where we do not have the capacity. 20-year-old missiles like Stinger missiles, we don't have the missiles. The people who made them weren't making them anymore because we weren't ordering them anymore. They have, you look at it, you say, this is just stupid on so many levels, and yet here we go.
Yeah, and then even Milley the other day was pretty much kind of tacitly admitting that, yeah, Ukraine's not winning, not even close to winning. Just no way.
Well, yeah, but 90% of the public would believe they're winning because that's what we get told in the media. But the fact of the matter is, Russia has not used their air power against Ukraine in a meaningful way, when it's kind of shocked all the observers that they didn't just immediately take out their communication systems and the like. But they're now using their missiles and their intermediate range missiles to destroy the Ukrainian infrastructure, their electricity system and the like. And yeah, then they're degrading the there's only 40 million Ukrainians, and if you kill enough of them, there aren't enough to fight. And that's kind of what they're doing, is they're degrading them based on force. And all we hear about is the Russian discontent, which may exist, but a lot of this is a myth. And the challenge is, when there aren't enough Ukrainians to fight, will they put Americans in to fill the void?
That is the big question. And let me tell you, this is this is not like sending American troops into some, shall we say, excrement hole nation that we can afford to lose. The Russians playing for keeps, okay? And that's
American troops going against Russian troops is exactly what Hillary Clinton tried to get done in Syria when she wanted to actually create no-fly zones. She in 28 in
Syria, I remember that
for this. She wanted to have no-fly zones in Syria that we enforced with our Air Force against Russian MiGs, guaranteeing we were going to have dogfights and air battles against Russia over the Middle East. So this is something that somebody wants to happen, and they now just have a different battle space to do it in, and it's in Ukraine. And I don't get it. I really don't get it.
And I wish that more Americans would actually be talking with their reps and saying, we don't get it either. Why are you voting to fund it?
Right. Ask the question. That's a simple question to ask. Why are you voting to fund this? And somebody should be held accountable, because in the last Congress, they gave $100 billion to Ukraine. So it's reasonable to ask. Now that they've done that because Joe Biden said it was necessary, now it's reasonable to ask, well, what's the outcome? Give me the reason.
And what is the real mission? And what is the real mission? Yeah, and the real mission should not be to take care of General Dynamics, quarterly profits, or Raytheon or any of the rest of them. Okay, that's not a reason. Okay,
I don't think that's actually in play, but it may be a little bit. But I do. I've got friends who are on the other side of this, and in fairness, what they say is it's a domino theory argument, but it's not unrealistic to say if Ukraine falls, Putin's been very clear that he wants to reestablish the Soviet state, and you'll see Latvia and other countries like that, Estonia, Lithuania fall. They will attack Poland, and so there's a sense amongst people who are traditional conservative hawks who are on the side of fighting this, that you stop them in Ukraine, or you may not be able to stop them at all.
Okay,
that is the idea. They're taking the lesson from World War II when Hitler invaded Czechoslovakia, and Chamberlain basically said, okay, well, don't do anything worse. And then Hitler has all of Europe, and Great Britain sitting over there in Ireland having to invade Europe to be able to take the continent back.
All right.
So
Okay.
that's the history they're looking at. And they might be right, they might be wrong. Bottom line is, they better explain to the American public before they spend another dollar.
And that's exactly what it is, because there is no explanation, because it just looks like a slow walk into it, and now turning into a fast walk, in some cases. So, Rick, I appreciate the talk, and always good. That's why we do the DC Swamp Update every Friday morning here on KMED and KCMD. Rick Manning, dailytorch.com, getliberty.org. We'll talk next Friday. You be well, okay?
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
Good weekend. 9 minutes after 7. And this is KMED and KMED HD1, Eagle Point, KCMD Grants Pass, and, of course, KYVL Medford also. We'll get town hall news here in 60 seconds. Ran a little bit behind, a little bit long there with Rick, but it was worth it. I wanted to talk a little bit about this Ukraine situation, because we're not really getting an explanation, are we?
Joel here at Butler Ford and Truck Center with a little tip on how to beat inflation and rising interest rates on a new truck. Buy a new F-150 right here in Ashland at Butler Ford. Here's why. First, Ford will give you a $2,000 factory rebate on new 22 Ford F-150. Second, I'll add another $3,000 Butler discount for a total savings of $5,000 off MSRP. And third, Butler says yes to financing that new truck at 3.9% APR for 60 months. And we've got F-150s in stock today. No waiting. But hurry, early selection is best selection. I gotta say, this is probably the best time in a long time to buy a truck at Butler Ford because of these rebates and discounts, and we have trucks in stock. Save $5,000 off MSRP and finance for 5 years at 3.9%. Get started at ButlerSaysYes.com. Butler Ford and Truck Center, exit 19 in Ashland, and online at ButlerFord.com, where we've got your truck and SUV and certified pre-owned vehicle.
60 monthly payments at $1,837 per $1,000 financed on approved financing through Ford Credit. Offer ends 1/31/23.
American Lumber is your complete source. Whether you're a do-it-yourselfer or a builder looking to save on whole house construction packages. From floor joists to roof sheeting and every stick in between, American Lumber provides everything to build your project on time and on budget. American Lumber also stocks a variety of fencing and decking lumber, plus they're an authorized Fiberon composite decking dealer, a great alternative to the rising cost of cedar that's manufactured right here in the Northwest. Buy local, buy American. American Lumber on Avenue G in White City.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Israel has carried out airstrikes on Gaza. That comes in response to rocket fires. Tensions soar in the wake of a deadly army raid in the West Bank on Thursday. A candlelight vigil was held in Memphis, Tennessee last night for Tyree Nichols, who allegedly was beaten to death by several police officers who are now fired and facing second-degree murder and kidnapping charges as a result. And the victim's mother calling on protesters to remain peaceful after police revealed the webcam footage of that beating that went down. They're all now facing those murder charges as a result of their conduct. For the second time this month, House Republicans will try to restrict presidential use of the nation's emergency oil stockpile, a proposal that has already drawn a White House veto threat. And on Wall Street in early trading, the Dow futures were down about 30 points at the opening bell. This is SRN News.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar February 6, 2019. Nothing worked before. Left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds, and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day, and nothing worked until Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food, crazy, enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick Hypnosis really works? works.
It's amazing. I can breathe again, my blood pressure went down, and I've got so much energy.
So much energy.
And look great.
Stop smoking. Lose weight now. Without cravings, irritability, or your money back. Only $49.99 guaranteed. Join Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar and lose the weight, stop smoking, feel great for only $49.99 guaranteed. Tuesday, February 7th at the Rogue Regency Inn in Medford. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Registration 5 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Learn more at markpatrickseminars.com. That's right, markpatrickseminars.com.
Don't miss the Southern Oregon Polar Plunge for Special Olympics and your chance to step out of your comfort zone to benefit youth and adults with disabilities. Get your team together and jump into an unheated outdoor pool, all for a great cause. It's cold enough. Are you bold enough? Your support provides athletes with access to sports, activities, wellness programs, community, and much more. Join us Saturday, March 4th. The fun starts at 11 a.m. at the Rogue Valley Country Club in Medford. Register your team, volunteer, or skip the dip, and donate at plungeoregon.org.
KMED and KCMD Morning Weather, sponsored by Advanced Air and Bryant. Doing whatever it takes to deliver intelligent heating and cooling solutions and award-winning service. Visit myadvancedair.com.
I'm meteorologist Bobby J for NBC5. We're going to have increasing clouds here today. There is a chance of some light showers, even some light snow possible late Saturday, early Sunday. Clearing out very quickly, though, but we're left with some colder temperatures. Today's high of 50, 42 and breezy Sunday.
On approved credit, one of each, both 3500 due. Forte VIN 557095, MSRP 21585, Sol VIN 198375, MSRP 21220, 10K miles per year, zero security deposit, all incentives and discounts to dealer, plus tax, title, license, 150 registration processing fee. Trading in a vehicle will not eliminate your debt. Negative equity applied to new loan balance. Interest accrues from date of purchase through Northwest Community Credit Union. Ends 1/31/23.
Looking to buy a new Kia with no payments for 90 days? Then rush into Kia Medford during the great pay delay. That's right. Buy any new Kia and make no payments for 90 days. Or shop rows of new Kias with huge New Year savings. Lease a new 2023 Kia Soul LX or Kia Forte LXS for 24 months. Only $159 a month. Plus, once we make a deal at Kia Medford, we'll pay off your car no matter how much you owe. Need credit? Go to KiaMedford.com to get pre-approved in less than 30 seconds with no effect on your credit score. Make no payments for 3 months during the great pay delay at Kia Medford. Click KiaMedford.com.
This hour of the Bill Meyer Show is proudly sponsored by Phoenix Auto Center Tire Pros on Main Street in Phoenix.
Are you adventure ready? Oregon Truck and Auto Authority is your source for overlanding, off-road, and outdoor lifestyle products, featuring quality options for rooftop tents, racks, bumpers, winches, and recovery gear, LED lighting, dual battery systems, onboard compressors, cargo cases, coolers, and refrigerators. They also offer camp stoves, scuttles, fire pits, tables, and chairs, so you're prepared once you've reached your destination. Stop by Oregon Truck and Auto Authority, your Department of Adventure. We're on 99.3 KCMD, FM 106.7 KMED. And this is the Bill Meyer Show.
16 after 7. You know that Rick Manning and I, from Americans for Limited Government, we were talking a little bit earlier before we started talking about Ukraine, trying to figure out, okay, what's really going on here? And nobody really knows, I guess. But we were talking about the push to normalize the abnormal. And we were talking about government schools, for that matter. But still, the drag queen story hours, the gender bending everything. And I wonder if maybe one of the issues that we don't talk enough about is the actual spiritual battle that I think we're actually involved in right now. And Jeremy Sladen joins me, and I spoke with Jeremy a few weeks ago. He is a pro-patriot, pro-family, pro-masculine. Oh, my goodness, you're a pro-masculine guy? How you doing, Jeremy? It's good to have you on. Welcome.
Doing fantastic. Glad to be back on the show. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about Warrior MBS, because that's what you do. That's your day job here. You founded that a while back. But tell us about Warrior MBS and where people can find out more about that.
Yes, we'll start with the simple stuff. Yes, that is my community of men that want to be strong. They want to be masculine. They want to get in better shape. They want to think clearly without brain fog. They want to be spiritually grounded so that when the storms of life come, they're able to withstand. And men need community, and they need competition to come alive. So it's a 70-day reset. So guys who have any of those issues I mentioned, they're brain fog, or physically they want to be in better shape, or spiritually they want to be in a community where they can speak their mind and also hear some truth. It's for that kind of guy. So I call it a personal reset for men. You can do it in 70 days. And then we've got veterans now that are coming back and signing up again. So I've got sort of a veteran program as well. And I want to let you know, Bill, just maybe the only time I mentioned this today, but if you go to warriormbs.com/Myers, I'm offering a half off discount to anyone that joins, and round 3 is about to start, so you better join soon.
All right, very good. I appreciate you coming in and talking about it, and it's good to see someone working to increase the health of the male. And it's not that I am against the health of the female. It's not that at all. You know, I'm very married to a very strong woman, want to try to keep her healthy too. But I think that men really have a problem in the culture right now, and arguably are looked at as disposable in the culture. And I was going to raise something here. This is off topic, off the spiritual thing. But I was reading in the Military Times, militarytimes.com this morning, and the headline kind of struck me odd. And maybe it would strike you this way too, Jeremy. It said, experts and data point to women as the best military recruiting pool, right? And so really, that's the absolute best way. It's like, that didn't make sense to me. And I'm looking down into the military people, and the recruiters are talking about, well, here's one of them that says, a lot of the skills that we're going to need are available in the female population, Cohn continues. He's a recruiter. The difficulties that we face with many of the young male population, and especially in terms of drug use, in terms of criminal records, are not as big a problem in the female population. Also, American women more likely to be college educated than American men. And if you're going to be an officer, you have to have college education as a requirement. And the services are competing with colleges for the attention of high school graduates. So I thought that was very interesting, don't you? I mean, kind of an interesting statement on the state of masculinity right now.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, at this point, it's not surprising at all. I mean, we've got a vice president that says we have a closed southern border right now. Mm-hmm. So, basically, you take what these large institutions say and believe the opposite. I mean, at this point, and I'm not saying you do that as a rule, but oh my gosh, I mean, you've got to look at what the globalists and the major institutions of America have been locking arms now for years and saying is truth or promoting. And you realize, man, these things are not true. They're unhealthy. And pretty soon you got to stop trusting those sources. So I guess it's interesting, but I don't buy it for a second. And as far as men not graduating from college in higher numbers, yeah, they're making sure of that. They're making it difficult for men to want to even go to those colleges a lot of times because the way they're going to be treated, especially if they're a heterosexual white male.
Oh, yeah, heterosexual white male, you're going to be told there. Aren't you a little bit confused about your gender, Jeremy? And wouldn't you like some hormone blocker pharmaceuticals here? We can help you with that. And as a matter of fact, and by the way, you want the drag queen, the drag queen pervert to be talking to your kids in the library too, right? That kind of thing.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's an agenda. I mean, just the other day, Fox News published a story, Penn State professor, and I thought, okay, this is probably like a small class. No, it's the largest ethics and civics / something to do with race. I can't think of the official title of the class, but the largest one in the country has 800 students in this professor's class. He told all of the straight students, you need to start watching gay and lesbian pornography so that you can learn how to be bisexual, so you can begin to explore your sexual deviancies. So, I mean, and that professor's not going to lose the job, not even close to it. So we have to understand the times we're in, and I know some of where we're going today is the spiritual roots.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't start out wanting to dig into this stuff. It's more of a matter of I started to work backwards. Okay, why are they wanting to promote this? Where's this really coming from?
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I had this journey.
There's a part of me that has wondered, and I know that people who are just total secularists may think that I'm crazy for even mentioning it, okay? But I could swear over the last decade or so, maybe a little bit longer, it's almost as if an unholy portal has opened in this planetary sphere of some sort. I mean, do you think I'm nuts for even? Am I nuts for noticing? Maybe I don't know.
No, I don't. I really don't. Maybe even 6 months ago, I would have kind of been, portal. I don't know. But the deeper you go with this, there was a lot of talk about CERN, the big particle collider. out in, I believe it's in Switzerland, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But there was talk about what's going to happen when they bash these particles at a rate at speeds that have never happened before. And you had some of the most respected secular scientists in the world, including Hawking, saying, before he died, this is something we shouldn't do. And he was talking about things like, that we don't know what's going to happen. This could, open a portal, with wormholes and everything else they talk about. And a lot of Christians were like, oh, my gosh, they're going to open a portal to the underworld. And, I don't know about all that.
But you see, the secularists would say the underworld is just a figment of the imagination. But yet, this is a land, or our world is a world of duality. You don't have the light without the dark. Truly. No? Right?
Right. What you saying? That's what they would say?
Well, they would say there's no such thing as evil, really, and there's no such thing as Satan and everything else, all that kind of stuff. It's just you crazy nut job, Christians that kind of think of that sort of stuff.
They can say that. They can say that, and what I would say back is, well, that's interesting. You feel that way. Why do you put a massive statue of the goddess Shiva right outside of CERN then, if you think all that's just hogwash? So what they do is, they brazenly push these symbols that show what they believe and what they're after. And by the way, Shiva, if you look at what it's pushing towards, is a merging of the ancient pagan beliefs with modern technology. Okay, that's why they put that out there.
Boy, that sounds like technocracy. That sounds like technocracy, Jeremy.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
But I don't buy a lot of their arguments because, again, these people are ones that can't even tell you the definition of a woman. So how am I going to trust what they say about anything else?
Yeah. Jeremy Sladen, once again, he's the founder of Warrior MBS. And that's, once again, a pro-patriot, pro-masculine, pro-Christian group here. And you have an op-ed piece here that is really talking about that you need to understand that the gender bend, the situation in the schools, the trans agenda, and a lot of this really is a spiritual battle. And I don't know if people really grok that, or a lot of people really understand that. Would you agree or disagree on that?
I heavily agree with it. I think a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't have maybe they don't have the time to do the research that I've been afforded. But it's pretty easy to do. I'll give one example. So right now, everybody knows about the United Nations.
Right.
Okay. Not many people know that the only spiritual advisor that has their own meditation room within the United Nations headquarters is the Lucis Trust, formerly known as the Lucifer Publishing Company. Okay.
Huh.
Now that was started by Alice Bailey back in the early 1900s, who was a New Age theosophist. Now I don't want to lose anybody here, but hear me out. She gave a 10-point plan for how to basically remove Christianity from the public sphere and affect our children. Almost every one of those 10 points has come to pass. And the Lucis Trust today names people like Bill Gates as their world goodwill controllers. And Bill Gates has given money to the Lucis Trust in their initiatives. So, and the UN is heavily promoting Lucis Trust beliefs. The founder of the UN, the founder of the World Core Curriculum, Robert Mueller, the head of UNESCO, he said in the beginning of his World Core Curriculum, in the preface, he says, all of the research that led to this curriculum comes from the writings and teachings of Alice Bailey, the leader the founder of the Lucis Trust Lucifer Publishing Company. So there are dots that you can connect if you want to, and all of a sudden the world makes a heck of a lot more sense. So no, I don't believe that it's by coincidence or accident that all of this gender bending and the promotion of it is going on across the board, from education to progressive politics to many churches. Many churches are now pushing it, to our entertainment, to what books are in the bookstores for kids. It's all happening at the same time, and if somebody thinks it's all by accident, they're very naive.
You also pointed there are some actual physical wars being done on men, that some of the largest food, drug, and clothing companies are manufacturing and promoting products known to lower sperm count and lower testosterone. Isn't that right? Maybe you could explain a bit of that, please.
Yeah, and even create estrogen. So better than explain, I'll provide an example. So you've got the World Economic Forum that's promoting companies like Synergen, which is the manufacturer of the second most used pesticide in all of America, called atrazine. okay? Atrazine causes our testosterone to lower and convert it to estrogen, right? And they've got the full backing of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency by the United States. So you've got the UN, the World Economic Forum, both promoting this company. The EPA is on board. And what it's doing is it is lowering our sperm counts. It's raising our estrogen. They've put they tested it on frogs and turned fully functional genetic male frogs into genetic female frogs. And when the researcher from Berkeley took that to the EPA and he said, wait, look what this chemical is doing to these frogs. Imagine what it's doing as it gets into our drinking water, because he was able to prove that people are drinking this. They said, you know what, we really don't see that as a problem. And they ignored him. They completely ignored him. So there was a concerted effort to do that, promoted by some of the largest institutions on the globe right now. So a specific example of one company out there that uses 80 million pounds a year spraying corn, sugarcane, and other crops that we eat with that product. And we wonder why Newsweek and Barna and others did a poll in 2022. How many of the millennial generation or younger consider themselves a part of the LGBTQ plus community? Over 30% in every poll. Now, is that by accident?
And it would seem that if there is a spiritual war okayed by globalist tendencies, as you've also detailed here, Jeremy, and you also have some actual physical wars being conducted on the people there, you can't really ignore this, can you? You can't just sit around and say, hey, I'm just going to, I'm just going to vote for my favorite politician and he or she will fix it, for me, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, it as long as our elections, if you can trust them anymore, but, I do think we should be involved. We should definitely be aware. And if you have kids, I mean, I've got two little boys. This isn't 1995 anymore. This isn't even 2015 anymore. We're in a new place. So we have to be very cautious about not only what our kids see in entertainment, but also what they're ingesting into their bodies. The globalist push right now to get away from meats. You can see that, especially good grass-fed beef or good organic eggs.
And also interesting how they want to transition you to more of a soy, plant-based kind of diet, right? This is what is being talked about quite openly.
100%. Yes.
And darn well, as a trainer, as a physical trainer, soy is one of the worst things that a man can be eating in any large quantity, at least, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's a reason why they've done studies as well. There's a great documentary that Tucker Carlson did called The End of Men. And anybody that's interested in this topic, I encourage them. You can get it for free. You can find it for free on YouTube or Rumble. Just type in The End of Men, Tucker Carlson. But when you watch that, they interview these scientists talking about now I've lost my train of thought. You were talking about the soy, right?
Yeah, soy. The push for more of a soy plant-based diet. And I know that that soy, of course, has phytoestrogens as a part of its chemical makeup, which is a problem for men.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. I remember now. They had measured people that were doing physical activity back in the 80s, and how much weight they lost, how much better shape they got in, and then they took the same type people, not the same people, but the same body types and everything, and had them on the same physical fitness program. With generally the same calorie consumption, and they weren't able to actually gain as much muscle mass or lose weight nearly as quickly as their counterparts in the 80s, and they've wondered why. Well, they figured it out. It's because of the endocrine disrupting chemicals that are in our bodies, just as you were talking about with soy, as one of many, the phthalates and the plastics, the atrazine type chemicals that are mimicking estrogen or even transferring our testosterone into estrogen. So, yes, they want a weak society. And,
Well, if you're going to have a totalitarian takeover, you write about this in your op-ed, you want a totalitarian takeover, you have to weaken the people who would traditionally be protecting against something like that, right?
Absolutely. Yes, they're going to be much more successful if the male population is gilded, emasculated, disenfranchised, confused, which confusion is a big part of this. Men, at this point, they've been so beaten down from all these angles. in many ways, they don't know what their role is anymore. So that they're a weaker head of the nuclear family. They're weaker leaders in their communities. And they were supposed to be the natural bulwark against this tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
So if you remove that, then they can centralize their power and pursue their goals unopposed.
Jeremy, I'm going to put all your information up. I'm also going to, do you mind if I post your op-ed in which you were talking about the spiritual roots of what is going on right now? I thought it was really interesting thinking. Do you mind if I put that?
Please do.
Okay, I will do that. And once again, how can people find out more? How can men find out about the Warrior, the Warrior MBS? Actually, what is this? I just want to make sure I get that right. I just lost my place.
Yes, Warrior MBS, which stands for Mind, Body, and Soul. And I've got a special promotion with your name on it. WarriorMBS.com/Myers, and then we'll get 50% off, and we kick off our next round next week.
Okay.
So jump in quick. We'd love to have you.
WarriorMBS/Myers. Could you change that to Meyer, because that's my actual name? People may not know that know me as Myers. Could you do that?
Yes, I'll make that. So give me 10 minutes, the listeners. Give me 10 minutes. I'll make that adjustment. But you can also go to WarriorMBS.com, and if they put Meyer in the note, I will know that they found me through your show.
Okay. Well, I really hope that happens, because getting in shape, getting your spirit in shape, and becoming truly, a defender and a protector again is something that has been really getting the short shrift. And you're right. Young men, especially, having great difficulty. I even know my own son is having difficulty trying to figure out, where is my place in this world right now? And and he kind of covers it up with a lot of false bravado at this point. But it really is a war, and I think there are spiritual roots in this, which is why when I read your op-ed piece, I said, I got to talk to you again, Jeremy. All right? I appreciate that. All right?
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. I've enjoyed the conversation.
Indeed. I've enjoyed it, too. 734 at KMED, KCMD. We can talk about that if you have any question or comment about that. Jeremy Slayton. It is 734 at 770-5633. We do have some open phones for the rest of this hour here on the Bill Meyer Show.
Are you turning 65 this year? How well do you understand Medicare? If you're like most people, it's all pretty murky. There are important deadlines and decisions to make, some of them irreversible. I'm Lynn Barton, Medicare advisor at Sky Park Insurance. Let me explain the ins and outs of Medicare and your coverage options so you'll be well prepared ahead of time. For a no-charge, no-obligation consultation, please give me a call at 541-499-0958.
At Sky Park, we make insurance easy.
On approved credit, one of each, both 3502. Forte VIN 557095, MSRP 21585. Soul VIN 198375, MSRP 21220. 10K miles per year, zero security deposit. All incentives and discounts to dealer plus tax, title, license, 150 registration processing fee. Trading in a vehicle will not eliminate your debt. Negative equity applied to new loan balance. Interest accrues from date of purchase through Northwest Community Credit Union. Ends 13123.
Looking to buy a new Kia with no payments for 90 days? Then rush into Kia Medford during the Great Pay Delay. That's right. Buy any new Kia and make no payments for 90 days. Or shop rows of new Kias with huge New Year savings. Lease a new 2023 Kia Soul LX or Kia Forte LXS for 24 months. Only $159 a month. Plus, once we make a deal at Kia Medford, we'll pay off your car no matter how much you owe. Need credit? Go to KiaMedford.com to get pre-approved in less than 30 seconds with no effect on your credit score. Make no payments for 3 months during the Great Pay Delay at Kia Medford. Click KiaMedford.com.
The song Our House by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young only reached number 30 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1970, but it stands the test of time. If you have a very, very, very fine house, Millette Construction wants to help you keep it that way. So if the vase that you bought today looks a bit tilted on the table, it might be a sloping floor due to a shifting foundation. Call Millette Construction for an inspection and estimate to permanently correct the issue so your house stands the test of time too. MilletteConstruction.com.
Siskiyou Pump is an exclusive Aqua Systems water filtration distributor. Siskiyou Pump Service is celebrating their 50th anniversary, providing fresh, clean water to Rogue Valley homes. Right now, Siskiyou Pump offers a free water test for hardness, iron, pH, and conductivity. And if needed, you'll also get a free no-obligation estimate on a new AquaSystem water softener system. Plus, every month, there's a new incentive to purchase an AquaSystems water softener system. Call Siskiyou Pump Service today for your free water test. Visit SiskiyouPump.com.
Oregon eDeals has saved the Rogue Valley thousands of dollars over the years on things you buy and use daily, including virtual reality fun at Cyber Center, a family 4-pack of wildlife safari tickets, normally $96, only $40. Certificates for tools and home improvement supplies from Daisy's Hubbards are 25% off. This and much more available exclusively at OregonEDeals.com.
I'm hooked on OregonEDeals.com. I'm saving big.
You're waking up with The Bill Meyer Show on 99.3 KCMD and FM 106.7 KMED.
7:38. I'm going to have an extended emails of the day here coming up in just a couple of minutes. A lot of people responding on yesterday's talk, and maybe we'll keep talking about that too with the gaming casino that the Coquille tribe is trying to get in here to Southern Oregon. A lot of thoughts on both sides of that aisle, okay? We will give a nod here to Don Bennett. Don writes me this morning. The email, by the way, bill@billmeyershow.com. Bill, I heard a report on Fox that had a clandestine recording from Project Veritas of a Pfizer executive admitting to all kinds of COVID virus skullduggery. Have you heard it? It was chilling and outrageous. Yeah. I was going to play it yesterday, and we got involved into the casino conversation, and I didn't get a chance to play. Well, here's part of it. Let me just see if we can roll. Let's see what happened. There it is. There's my Project Veritas. I have 40 windows open on my web browser, but here's a little bit of it, of how it went. This was a Pfizer. It was kind of a honeypot or honey trap kind of situation where a guy posing as, I think, someone that this male Pfizer executive wanted to date. And I think it was a little drunk too, I think, but here's part of it at least.
Pfizer ultimately is thinking about...
Let me bring it back here.
Pfizer ultimately is thinking about mutating COVID?
Well, that is not what we say to the public. No, don't tell anyone this. You gotta promise you won't tell anyone. You gotta promise you won't tell anyone.
promise you won't tell anyone, right?
Exploring, no, you know how the virus keeps mutating?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we're exploring is why don't we just mutate it ourselves so we can preemptively develop new vaccines, right? So we have to do that. If we're going to do that, though, there's a risk of, as you could imagine, no one wants to be having a pharma company mutating viruses. You have to be, very controlled to make sure that this virus that you mutate doesn't create something that, goes everywhere.
Something crazy.
Suspect is the way that the virus started and moving on. To be honest, it makes no sense if this virus popped out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know.
Meet Jordan Tristan Walker, a director of research and development strategic operations and mRNA scientific planning at Pfizer.
It sounds like gain of function to me.
I don't know, it's a little bit different. I think it's different. It's definitely not gain of function.
It sounds like it is. I mean, it's okay.
No, directed evolution is very different. Well, you're not supposed to do gain of function research with the viruses.
Yeah, directed evolution. It's not gain of function, it's just directed evolution. Will direct the virus to go in a certain way and then essentially make the vaccines that will fit the direction we think the virus is going to mutate, or else we're going to push it that way, and we'll make a lot of money. There's a lot more to it. Project Veritas, once again. And at the end of the whole video series, if you get a chance to watch it, and I would highly recommend you go to it, and if you try to search for it, you're really not going to find it. You just have to go to projectveritas.org, okay? Go to Project Veritas. And that's where you're going to dig this up because it's being downplayed by the search engines. All right, I'll just let you know about that right now. The interesting part is that at the end, they finally reveal that it's a bust, that this is something, we were journalists essentially trying to, get you to talk about this. And, oh, my gosh, this Pfizer executive ended up just going crazy and, kind of fighting with them and saying, "Oh, well, I was lying. I was just trying to impress a date," that kind of thing. And yikes! I don't know what's going to happen to this guy. And yeah, you can understand he would be panicking about it. He did call the police, if I understand too. I saw that on Tucker Carlson last night. He called the police and was mentioning, "Well, I'm really afraid. There's 4 or 5 white people. So this guy played the race card, against him. So. It's the story that you will likely not hear a lot of unless you actually go looking for it. So I would suggest you go looking for it, okay? It's 7:42 at KMED, KCMD.
If you're considering a new garage door or opener for a new home or remodel, you can't go wrong with American Industrial Door. With their fleet of trucks and technicians in both Josephine and Jackson counties, they can come to you and provide recommendations and samples. Or you can stop by their showroom and explore all of the amazing options. Do what so many other Southern Oregon homeowners have done for nearly 40 years. Trust American Industrial Door on Crater Lake Avenue, north of Violets Road, and on Union Avenue in Grants Pass.
Sweetwater Sanitation are your experts in the sanitation business. With over 20 years of providing septic services in Southern Oregon, Sweetwater Sanitation gets the job done the right way. Sweetwater Sanitation can inspect, service, repair, and pump your septic tank so you can focus on enjoying time with friends and family and not a septic disaster. Give them a call at 541-821-1426 or check them out online at swsmodoc.com. Sweetwater Sanitation, their service is the difference.
KMED, KCMD News, sponsored by Millette Construction, specializing in foundation repair and replacement. Get on solid ground by visiting MilletteConstruction.com.
Good morning. I'm Grace Smith with your NBC5 Morning News Update. We've been telling you about the Coquille tribe's latest efforts to build a casino in South Medford. Now the city is weighing in on the proposed project. The Bureau of Indian Affairs came out with a 250-page environmental impact statement on the development. City Attorney Eric Mitten summarized the impact statement along with different alternatives in last night's City Council meeting. Those include a casino located on an undeveloped property in Phoenix, expansion of the existing North Bend Casino, and no additional casino development. The federal government will accept written comments through Thursday, February 23rd. We'll have more information on how you can weigh in on our website. The Portland Timbers and Thorns have appointed a new CEO, and for the first time in franchise history, a woman has the title. Heather Davis, an Oregon native and U of O graduate, will be taking over. She's replacing Merritt Paulson, who stepped down in October. Davis has been with the club since May last year as the club's general counsel. Before that, she spent 9 years in the NFL League office as lead counsel for internal operations. Davis also has a career history at prestigious law firms as well as working in the White House. And we finally know the second headliners for the Rogue Music Festival, 8-time Grammy Award winner Carrie Underwood. Eric Church will start things off Friday, June 16th, and Underwood will headline and close out the inaugural festival on the 17th. You can get tickets right now at Sherm's Food for Less, the Expo box office, and online at roguemusicfest.org. That's a look at your morning headlines. For NBC5 News, I'm Grace Smith.
This hour of the Bill Meyer Show is proudly sponsored by Phoenix Auto Center Tire Pros and Full Service Auto Repair.
Have you checked the tread on your tires lately? Hi, it's Jolene for Phoenix Auto Center Tire Pros.
Along with offering complete maintenance and service for your car, SUV, truck, and RV, we have a great selection of tires to give you traction in cold, wet weather. Brands like Michelin, Continental, Cooper, BF Goodrich, General, Toyo, and more. Stop by and let us measure your tread wear and provide friendly advice. For the best tire prices and service, see your local family-owned Phoenix Auto Center Tire Pros on Main in Phoenix.
Millette Construction has been a general contractor for 40 years. For the last 20 years, they've specialized in foundation repair and replacement. If you have sloping floors, cracks in walls, and windows and doors that are hard to open, you have a foundation problem that's only getting worse. At Millette Construction, they not only fix your foundation and level your house, they solve the water problem that's causing the damage. Get on solid ground. Call Millette Construction for a free estimate. Visit MilletteConstruction.com. CCB number 32787.
You're waking up with the Bill Meyer Show on 99.3 KCMD and FM 106.7 KMED.
Some emails of the day, and that is sponsored by Dr. Nelson, Central Point Family Dentistry, exit 33. Off of I-5, and you go right next door to McDonald's. Great place. And by the way, they accept most dental plans, but they have their own in-house dental plan that is probably less expensive than what you might be paying for right now and better benefits, too. The one thing, they don't take OHP because, let's face it, nobody wants to take OHP because the reimbursement rates are so much, it doesn't even cover costs. That's just the way this goes. That's my own personal opinion, but I've talked to enough doctors and dentists to realize this is why they don't like Medicare. This is why they don't like OHP. But that's okay, because that's what they want to have everybody on, is Medicare and OHP, and no one's able to pay the bills. I guess that's but we'll all be healthy. maybe we all better make sure we stay healthy, right? That might be it. Anyway, I'm going to give an email of the day to John Rodriguez, and many other people who have written me, and he wanted to talk about the graduation statistics. And I apologize for sounding so cynical about graduation rates, and I know that there are good people within the system trying to get public education on a better footing. But as we've demonstrated with parents calling in and talking about their experience, there's a big push for the woke. There's a big push for the gender bending. There's a big push for you got a violent kid. We're not going to do anything about it because it makes our violence statistics look bad. Remember the story with Hedrick Middle School that we talked about, and nothing gets done. And now, after a couple of years, 2 or 3 years of the COVIDiacy, that a lot of parents were looking at what was going on. You're teaching this crap? This is it? And there's a bunch of people waking up. So I'm suspicious when I see graduation rates being trumpeted. What do you actually graduate with? What's the knowledge? What is the proficiency? That's my real question. And John writes in and says, Bill, the graduation requirements for Oregon students were, quote, temporarily suspended as a result of Bill 744. The suspension was for, quote, essential skills graduation requirements for 3 years. It suspends the essential skills proficiency requirements entirely until the 2024 to 2025 school year. The state does allow students who are unable to meet the full set of academic standards to graduate with a modified or extended diploma or an alternative certificate. Now, those students must have a documented history of an inability to maintain grade level achievement due to significant learning and instructional barriers, or a documented history of a medical condition that creates a barrier to achievement. That's a quote, okay? Students working toward a modified diploma also had to fulfill the essential skills proficiency requirement. Most four-year colleges do not accept these alternate diplomas or certificates. Now, please note, Bill, that the graduation requirement suspension is for all basic courses, including reading comprehension and writing skills. It's not just mathematics. So employers in Oregon are going to have employees who will not be able to read instructions, fill out forms, or do simple math computations such as measurements. And I hope this helps. John, I appreciate you writing. You know, the interesting part about this, John, is that if we were looking for an investment opportunity, invest in workplace testing. Something tells me that Oregon employers are going to need it, because maybe you got a diploma. Does it actually mean anything, though? And that could be a big question that needs answered. Michael writes in this morning, Bill, about the portal. I was just mentioning that with Jeremy Slayton. It almost seems like a demonic portal opened up. And I know I might sound crazy to some people, but Michael says, Bill, evil forces want to stop procreation. It's far too many people on Earth, according to them. Lynn writes, Lynn Barton. Lynn, always appreciate your writing. Says, Bill, the doctor you had on yesterday was fun, but she's not right about vegetarianism being healthier. You and I agree on this, Lynn. I did not agree with, I think it was Dr. Julie from yesterday. But anyway, Lynn continues, my gurus at the Weston A. Price Foundation have long encouraged animal product consumption. There's literally no scientific evidence that reducing meat consumption prevents heart disease or anything else. A friend of mine completely healed herself of an autoimmune condition by getting rid of all plant foods. Turns out they have a lot of bad stuff in them, like oxalates and lectins, and some people are made ill by plants. That's what Lucretia was saying an hour and a half ago, Lynn. Oh, my gosh. Lynn and Lucretia on the same page for a little bit. I'm just teasing, but still, that's interesting. And she recommends this book, which I'm working my way through. It's The Carnivore Code, Unlocking the Secrets to Optimal Health by Returning to Our Ancestral Diet. Good take on it, Lynn. Thank you for writing. On the Indian casino yesterday, we had a lot of conversation about this, and Pat from Eagle Point says, hi, Bill. My husband and I have been listening to your show from Yuma. I had to go someplace warmer for the winter. But I've been thinking about the Indian casino for Medford. If they build a gas station with diesel, I'd be in favor of it. They usually have better rates, and we all know we need help with that. But the upside, that's the upside, but the downside would be the street people or the unhoused, I can't call them homeless anymore, I guess, making their homes there. It's a real crapshoot, no pun intended. I guess we'll see how it goes. I don't know, Pat. I haven't seen any evidence that when the casinos go up someplace or a gaming area goes up, that the homeless come around there. Something tells me that they may be a Ninth Circuit Court of Opinion free zone. Maybe they could actually be a little tougher on it than the city of Medford. I guess we'll find out, won't we? Now, Terry writes from Wairika. Bill, here in Wairika, we have a relatively new and still quite small casino, Rain Rock. It has definitely been a benefit to our community, and it doesn't bring in seedy people or big tour buses. It offers a pleasant place to go for a decent meal, although their house wine is really bad. Okay, you had to put that in, huh? That's for a lot of places there, Terry. But anyway, there's good jobs for members of our community, and it has cleaned up our area of town that was somewhat neglected. It's also my understanding that even though they may not pay taxes, they do pay into certain services such as police, road maintenance, and such. And I have never seen any homeless individuals anywhere near the casino. At one time, I felt we were getting inundated with casinos, and the results could be damaging. How could all these casinos survive? However, after seeing the effect of our local casino, I'm now thinking just the opposite. Casinos are becoming more neighborly. Rain Rock is not necessarily a destination casino like Seven Feathers, the Mill, or Rolling Hills. It's more kind of like a local hangout. These smaller casinos, while attracting travelers, cater to locals. It's a clean, safe, fun place to spend a few hours and therefore a benefit. Terry and Wairika, we appreciate your writing. I really do. Charlene writes, Bill, in discussing a casino in Medford, you need to talk to a rep from the Cow Creek tribe. And I tried to do that, Charlene. I called them up yesterday, left a message, and said we'd love to talk with you on and get your take on it. And there is a local office here in Southern Oregon. They have not returned my call yet, but I'm hoping that they will call me back, and then we can discuss that next week, okay? And Bob Shan writes, Bill, one casino per tribe is false. It was based on compacts. And so, yeah, maybe that was something. But it was sort of the accepted thing, Bob. I think that's what was going on. He also adds that Kevin Stein has also received campaign donations from the Coquille tribe. Granny says, like I said, I'm doing a lot of emails this morning. A lot of people writing me stuff. Granny says, Bill, one of the best parts about being a conspiracy theorist on Conspiracy Theory Thursday is not having myocarditis. Okay. All right, I appreciate it. And Gar writes in, Bill, I'm surprised that the tribes don't ask to buy or lease the Flying Lark. Building is done, ready to go. That's a very interesting point, Gar. I wonder if they could pull that off in Grants Pass. I mean, Travis went to the mat to try to get that going, and then the courts shot him down. Of course, it is in the state constitution. It was going to be a high lift, I think. All right, for sure. And then George writes, Bill, why do only Indians get casinos that don't have to pay taxes? My Swedish ancestors have contributed more to America than the Indians, and if they want a casino, they have to pay taxes. How come the CEO of Dutch Bros can't have off-track betting at the beautiful facility he built next to the racetrack in GP? Because Kate Brown said only Indians can have that? I'm just reading it directly, right? It's 200 years since our ancestors whooped the Indians and made America. How come there's still a U.S. Department of Indian Affairs? How come there are still reservations? How come there isn't a U.S. Department of Greek Affairs? How come black people aren't still on plantations? Inquiring minds want to know, not buying the BS on nation and treaties. Well, George, I have to say that there are bona fide legal documents. There were treaties that formed all this. And, the treaty is law of the land. And that was going back a long time. And far be it from me to say that, well, that was an old treaty a long time ago and we shouldn't pay attention to it anymore. That'd be kind of like, well, the First and Second Amendment, that was put place back in 1789. It's an old law. We wouldn't want to do that, right? So just be careful. I mean, it is what we agreed to do, at the time. 756 at KMED, KCMD. What's on your mind? 770-5633.
At Fontana Roofing, their roof replacement teams give homeowners honest advice every day. Let's check in and see what's new.
Did you see the relief on that homeowner's face with the good news that her roof had another 5 years of life left in it?
Yeah, she was pleased as punch. The bad news is that Nerf football I found up there has seen better days.
Indeed, but the good news is there's still enough granules to reflect light and heat away from the roof, preserving for now the asphalt underneath.
And the bad news is excessive UV rays and weather on that southern exposure makes those pebbles wear out faster, and the wood sheeting could be eventually compromised.
And the good news is it's lunchtime, and I've got coupons for tacos.
And the bad news is that I left my wallet at home.
That's not news.
Fontana Roofing is your local expert on residential re-roofs. Get an accurate news report on your roof today. Visit FontanaRoofingInc.com.
There are two ways to visit Hughes Lumber: in person in Medford or on their website at HughesLumber.com. Here's the homepage showing a huge supply of lumber. Next page is decking, followed by the siding page. Then there's the fencing page, then the roofing page, followed by the hardware page, and of course, the lumber page. And don't forget, they deliver right to you. Check it out at HughesLumber.com. Why would you go anywhere else?
Freddy's Diner in Old Town Eagle Point is a family diner designed to please everyone in the family. Along with 13 burgers, there's 8 fresh sandwiches and 7 different melts, all served with fresh cut fries. There's Carolina chicken smothered in mushrooms, onions, bacon, cheddar cheese, and honey mustard sauce. There's 7 seafood baskets, hickory smoked ribeyes, chicken fried chicken and steak, and so much more. You're invited to Freddy's Diner on Main in Old Town Eagle Point. Open 10 a.m. weekdays and 8 a.m. weekends for breakfast.
I stopped smoking with Mark Patrick's hypnosis when nothing else worked. 1 year later, my wife Michelle and I attended the Mark Patrick Weight Loss Hypnosis Seminar. In 2 months, lost 43 pounds, and she lost 18 pounds. And we feel great.
Join Mark Patrick's Hypnosis Seminar. Lose the weight or stop smoking for only $49.99 guaranteed. Seminar Tuesday, February 7th at the Rogue Regency Inn in Medford. Weight loss seminar at 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar at 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
99.3 KCMD, FM 106.7 KMED, and this is the Bill Meyer Show.
Maybe I could call up Mark Patrick and say, hey, Mark, could you come up with an anti-woke hypnosis to get them to say, oh, you mean trans women aren't women? Wouldn't that be something? All right, it's a shade before 8 o'clock. Martin's on the line here. Hey, Martin, you wanted to talk about the tribal gaming casino issue here. What's on your mind? Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to make let everyone aware of is, and it's been talked about, is this is a federal process, and the fact that it's this far, that they've already done an environmental impact report, and we have until the 23rd to reply, means that the deal is done, and you know, everyone can kind of focus on, gee, wouldn't it be nice to have this entertainment complex, the restaurant there? But what this is the starting of the federal government taking lands away from the Rogue Valley, Medford, the county of Jackson, and taking control. And what happens, you had a gentleman call the other day about Santa Barbara County, and I've experienced that all there. And little by little, they buy up the neighboring lands. They bring it all into trust. It now becomes sovereign land. There's no, they have their own police department. You talk about the homeless issues. That's how they handle it. They have their own court.
And now, would I be correct on that to figure that that tribal land, they could probably be a lot tougher on the homeless situation than the regular land?
Exactly. They have their own police department within the tribal land. And so they take care of it. It's their own rules. And that's the key, is that this is now sovereign land. Local jurisdiction doesn't have a voice anymore. And they will be good neighbors. I'm not challenging that, but it's on their terms.
But, you know, I've only been half joking about this, but, you know, in some ways, the sovereign land is a better deal than being part of the so-called United States of America, it seems.
Well, it is until you need to look out for your water rights and other bigger issues. So in Santa Barbara County, what happened is they bought up large tracts of neighboring land, brought it into trust. Now they control the water. It's just one issue. They now have their own planning, and you know the whole area changed dramatically. And so here, what can happen is the reason why this is so high stakes in Medford is you got an international airport.
Yep.
You know, when you compare it to Wairika and these other communities, you're right. They're going to be nice neighbors, and it'll be only so big. But this actually can be on a very grand scale. And it'll start there, and notice how they, said, but maybe Phoenix, maybe over here.
Mm-hmm.
What they're doing is they're identifying bigger areas so that this can expand. The key is to contesting the EIA is that we have to establish, do they have a true claim here, and then the long-term impact on the community. It's no longer about, what will it offer some jobs and whatnot? It certainly will. Will it offer a restaurant? It certainly will. But all those things can be achieved with good economic development. But what will happen is they'll buy up all the hotels, and Travel Medford will no longer get their tax dollars. Travel Medford just gave them a great gift with the pool, another attraction. They need other attractions.
Oh, and that's why I was so irritated with it. This is a taxpayer-funded tourist attraction. Most
correct
ridiculous way of doing it. And so, and then another attractant for a gaming casino. Okay, very good.
And they'll all work together. But this gaming thing, everything will become non-taxable. Mm-hmm. And so and sure enough, if you go to a casino, you pay a tax, but it's their own tax.
Indeed. Martin, thanks for painting a larger picture. I really appreciate that. 770-5633. Let me grab line 3 here. Hi, KMED, KCMD. You've been waiting a minute or two. Who's this? Go ahead.
Hi, it's Francine.
Hi, Francine.
Hi. So, okay, there was a time when I lived in Reno. I got stuck there,
Mm-hmm.
and I was there for about 6 or 8 months. And while I know having one casino isn't anything as vast as a place called Reno, one of the things that really got me when I lived there was seeing how many times I saw like a car with a dad and a mom and a couple of kids with a sign going, "We need gas money to get home," like they came and they...
Yeah, because they gambled it away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you'd see that in McCarran. Is it McCarran Airport in Vegas, too? You'd see that there every now and then.
I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. It's just something that I observed, and I just wanted to mention it.
I appreciate you mentioning it. And that's another side of this that is real. Good morning, KMED, KCMD. Hi, who's this?
This is Queen Bee, Linda Marie.
Well, hello, Queen Bee. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, I got a call from Medicare Advantage yesterday, and you'll find this interesting. And the lady asked me, "Have you got your card yet?" I said, "I don't think so. I'll have to look, but no, I don't think so." "Well, why?" She said, "Well, 2 new advantages this year are we'll pay your power and your utility money." I said, "I don't need that. My utilities are included in my rent." She said, "Okay, well, we'll also pay for healthy food." I do not want Medicare feeding me.
Boy,
No way, no
I think, frankly, I think it's bad enough to get involved in the doctor-patient relationship on top of that, too. But wait, what? Yeah, is there going to be a Medicare section over at Sherm's and Safeway, and Winco from now on?
I don't think so. I said, I have SNAP already. I don't need that. So I told him. I told the woman.
Well, hey, thanks for the update. That's a new one on me. Thank you, Queen Bee. It is 5 after 8. Ron Gordon standing by. We'll catch up with the markets here and see how that's doing here in a couple of minutes, okay?
American Lumber is your complete source. Whether you're a do-it-yourselfer or a builder looking to save on whole house construction packages. From floor joists to roof sheeting and every stick in between, American Lumber provides everything to build your project on time and on budget. American Lumber also stocks a variety of fencing and decking lumber. Plus, they're an authorized Fiberon composite decking dealer. A great alternative to the rising cost of cedar that's manufactured right here in the Northwest. Buy local, buy American. American Lumber on Avenue G in White City.
Ready for winter driving? Hi, it's Jolene for Phoenix Auto Center Tire Pros. Along with our low prices on popular tire brands, we do complete maintenance and service for your car, SUV, truck, and RV. You can count on Phoenix Auto Center to keep your vehicle running great, performing minor and major repairs, tune-ups, brakes, shocks, alignments, radiators, batteries, oil and fluid changes. It's hard to think of something we don't do. The best services, the best tire prices. See us at Phoenix Auto Center on Main in Phoenix.
May old car problems be forgot in a brand new SUV.
Stop! You can't
Let's start the new year in an old car. Get to Hyundai Medford today, because if you have a job clearing $350 per week at Hyundai Medford, you're virtually approved today. And no additional dealer markup on any new Hyundai Elantra, Sonata, or Tucson Limited. All with 0 down and 0 payments till March. And the Hyundai Assurance and America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. So bring any trade, no matter if it's partied out or running a little sluggish. Even if you're stuck in a loan or lease, Hyundai Medford wants to get you released. With your job clearing $350 per week, you're practically approved.
This is Mitch Parker. If you're not 100% satisfied, come see me before you leave.
Or online at HyundaiMedford.com. On approved credit, plus tax, title, license, and 150 title and registration processing. Not all will qualify. OCCU credit union, negative equity, refinanced, and new loan. Rebates and incentives to dealer. MSRP on in-stock model internal gas engine. Offers not in combination. Expires 1/31/23.
KCMD and KMED Weather, sponsored by Advanced Air and Bryant. Doing whatever it takes to deliver intelligent heating and cooling solutions and award-winning service. Visit myadvancedair.com.
I'm meteorologist Bobby J for NBC5. We're going to have increasing clouds here today. There is a chance of some light showers, even some light snow possible late Saturday, early Sunday. Clearing out very quickly, though, but we're left with some colder temperatures. Today's high of 50, 42 and breezy Sunday.
7 minutes after 8, Ron Gordon and Edward Jones. Hey, Ron, how you doing this morning? And wrapping up the week, how's the market taking is it taking a dirt nap today or doing okay? What do you say?
Yeah, so the markets are doing all right. They're kind of flat this morning, maybe a little bit lower than we were expecting them to be. But for the year, the NASDAQ has put on almost 11% this year, and the S&P 500 has already put on 6%. So now take this with a grain of salt. That is still, for the S&P 500, that's still 14% down from its highs in November 2021, and we're 27% off of our highs in the NASDAQ. So things are starting to look a little bit better as we go forward and see that inflation has the potential to be cooling, and there are still hopes that in the marketplace. I don't know if they're as solid as they could be, but that we could have a soft landing here. So we're going to continue watching out to see if companies are going to be laying off more than just the seasonal people, which have already taken place.
Yeah.
So
what do you think is going on with dollar? Dollar weakness still appears to be rising, in spite of the fact that they've raised interest rates. Do you have any opinion on that? Just an opinion, I guess, is what I'm looking for. Because I would have thought that the dollar would have strengthened out of all of this so far.
The dollar did strengthen. Remember, we were talking about this back in October and earlier last year about how the dollar was strengthening quite a bit.
Yeah, at that time.
It actually,
right.
Yeah, and it actually was causing problems internationally, right? Remember when the dollar was almost as strong, if not stronger, than the British pound? I mean, they were almost on parity. And so that actually can cause some issues. And so we are seeing a softening dollar, which is good for international trade as we continue to try and get that re-going and figuring out how that logistics is going to work out going forward. It does seem, though, that our partnerships with depending on China for a lot of products is slowing. So we'll see if that has anything. But a softer dollar makes it easier for international trade and for some of these huge multinational companies to be able to become profitable.
All right, very good. We appreciate the take, 734-0070, and we'll talk again on Monday. And I'll be really, something I think is going to be something to watch is as we reshore, as we bring more business back into the United States of America, is how much institutional knowledge have we lost over the last 20, 30 years about how to make stuff? All right, seriously.
Absolutely.
And I was reading a Substack the other day. I think you'd find this interesting. That I don't know if you're familiar with the Technics SL1200, a very famous turntable from the 1970s. And millennials have gotten into vinyl and turntables, and so they were trying to reproduce the SL1200. And the thing is that the molds from the 70s were worn out. They just couldn't do it, and it was so expensive to try to actually remanufacture something today. It's like people didn't know how to do it, the tooling, the dies, the molds. And they finally figured out, but it's like, I think they're charging $4,000 or $5,000 for the for the remanufactured version, and it didn't cost that back then. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not. And the other thing that we have going on is not only do we have the institutional knowledge because we haven't been manufacturing here, but we are also having the retirement of that generation. And there wasn't a lot of people that took the reins in the Gen X and Gen. I guess the millennial generation to really get that knowledge.
Well,
so,
what I would dare say is
idea.
that if you have a young person graduating from high school, technical education, something that actually works practically, tools, dies, the real 3D world, that could be a growing thing in the near future.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely. Hey, we'll check into that on Monday. I appreciate it, Bill. And just so you guys know, we are still looking at CD rates and money markets. They're still around 4%. So that's something to think about.
734-0070. You talk to the man himself, Ron Gordon. Thanks, Ron. Catch you on Monday, okay?
Bye-bye.
All right. Let me grab line one. It's been sitting there blinking noisily at me over the last 5 minutes. How you doing, line one? I don't know who this is, but go ahead.
It's mine or Dave.
Oh, it's Dave. Of course it is Dave. How are you? Normally I'm supposed to have a klaxon that warns me that you're here. But anyway, what's up?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say there's a difference between Medicare and Medicaid, and I got those same calls. They're from insurance companies trying to get me to get Medicare when I have Medicaid, and I'm not 65, so I can't get that. But they're companies calling you. They're not from the government.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd be very careful giving them any information.
Good point. That's a good call on that. The main thing is, though, is that it is true, though, that doctors and dentists and things like that are not really happy about trying to take Medicare and Medicaid, and people wonder why they can't get a doctor. It's because it doesn't pay enough.
I have to go to an Indian reservation for my doctor, and it's a federal facility, and it's a good facility, but hell, it's the federal government,
Okay. Thanks, Dave. We'll talk about that here real soon. Now, in just a moment, we are going to be talking about the Honest Elections Project. I'm going to talk with Jason Sneed here in just a moment. I'm going to get him on the phone. And it appears that Zuckbucks, another attempt at influencing elections, version 2, coming. That's what he says. We'll kick it around next.
This hour of the Bill Meyer Show is sponsored by Glacier Heating and Air, making sense of the heating and air business.
Heating your home usually has the largest impact on your winter